Today, in the Big Book of Virginia Ghost Stories, we're going to read Washington's Death. And don't worry, this isn't written the way yesterday's was. Did George Washington have a premonition of his own death? Quite possibly. According to R.M. Devens, who wrote about it in his 1877 book, Our First Century, Devens wrote that Washington was one who was accustomed to consider the brevity of life and the uncertainty of human affairs. This was evident from the tenor of his conduct and conversation, and from occasional passages in his correspondence. Washington, a few months prior to his death, wrote to his Secretary of War, "My greatest anxiety is to have all these concerns, private affairs, in such a clear and distinct form that no reproach may attach itself to me when I have taken my departure for the land of spirits." Washington also had been making funeral arrangements just days before the attack of illnesses, which terminated in his death. He had written instructions for the construction of an improv tomb, and speaking of this, said to a relative, "I am of a short-lived family and cannot expect to remain very long upon the earth." Yet Washington was in excellent health right up to the days before he died on December 14th, 1799. He was only 67 years old. On December 11th, Washington may have perceived an omen. He wrote in his diary, "The day was blustering and rainy, and at night there was a large circle around the moon." His secretary, Tobias Lear, later said, "The general rode around his plantation for 5 hours on December 12th, in weather very bad, rain, hail, snow falling alternately, with a cold wind. The next day a heavy snow fell, and Washington had taken cold. Nevertheless, he went out again. On December 14th, he was bedridden with a high fever, and doctors were called in. At 5 that afternoon, he spoke again as if he had been given a glimpse of the future. He told a doctor, 'I die hard, but I am not afraid to go. My breath cannot last long.' An hour later, he said he felt himself going. 'Let me go quietly,' he said. 'I cannot last long.' We also know from Philosopher's Notes that they bloodletted him, took out half of his blood. Then, curiously, he added an odd request which could be interpreted as a fear of being buried prematurely while still alive, a common fear at that time. He said, 'Have me decently buried, and do not let my body be put into a vault in less than 3 days after I am dead.' When his secretary acknowledged that he understood, Washington said, "'Tis well." These were the last words the father of the country spoke on earth. He died shortly after 10 p.m. that night. The ancient family vault in which Washington's remains first reposed was situated under the shade of a small grove of forest trees, a short distance from the mansion, and near the brow of the banks of the Potomac River. His body was later removed to a lot near the corner of a beautiful enclosure, a site selected for a tomb by Washington himself in the later years of his life. And let us remember, too, that there are Vatican records that he had called for a priest to come absolve him of his sins from across the Potomac River. I forget the name of the parish, but it's been recorded, and I've heard and read several accounts of this. So he was also concerned about his eternal life in the spirit world. Washington's death. It's funny how you gather clues and information through the years of your life if you read and you stay informed, just like we learned that they bloodletted him. A Big Book of Virginia Ghost Stories as we enter the Halloween season.